Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Nathan Fox. That's Ben Olson. We are the co-founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email here from Anonymous.
Dear LSAT Demon team, I learned English in high school and attended a university in Europe where all courses were taught in English. I chose the school for its strong science program and received scholarships based on my exam scores, similar to the GRE. During my freshman year, I struggled with a language barrier, which affected my performance and resulted in a 2.6 GPA. The grading was deflated compared to the US, and the curve was set to 2.0, or a C. However, I improved in my junior and senior years, earning another partial scholarship to complete a master's degree in science with a 3.94 GPA, followed by a PhD on the same topic with similarly high grades.
Why the hell do you want to go to law school?
Yeah, you've done a lot of school.
Why don't you continue working in science?
After working as a scientist for several years, I am now considering applying to law school, focusing on health law and policy. My dream schools have an LSAT score median close to 170 and an average GPA of 3.85. If I achieve a 170 plus score, do you think I have any chance despite my undergraduate GPA from overseas? Would it also be worthwhile to submit a brief addendum explaining the challenges I faced with English during my early college years and highlighting the progress I've made later on? Over the past decade, I have authored several research papers in top science journals reflecting my growth in language proficiency. On a related note, I'm unclear how GPAs are compared across institutions. For example, at my institution, a strict C was given on the bell curve for the average and an A was the maximum. It was a rigorous STEM program, and the top student in my class graduated with a 3.6 and later went on to Stanford Law, and the median was 2.4. That's something to write an addendum about. If you're
Sure.
The top student got a 3.6, you just say what your score is in relationship to that, or what percentage of the class you were in.
Yeah. I think you're an excellent applicant for any law school. I mean, I think that you're in a lot of ways overqualified for even the best law schools in the country. I just don't know why you would really want to do that. I mean, do you know anybody? You have this student from your class who went to Stanford Law. What are they doing now? I mean, are they making the kind of impact that they thought they would make? Or do you want to follow a path that's similar to theirs? It's likely that you know a lot more about the path you want to follow. I mean, I hope you know more about the path you want to follow than I do. But man, I don't know. Like, you've got technical proficiencies. Why wouldn't you leverage those technical proficiencies by continuing to work in a science field? You're going to be, if you go become a lawyer, you're going to be competing with English language specialists. You're not an English language specialist. You have skills in other areas. And I know you can reach English proficiency, but you're going to be a gladiator of the English language, doing battle against people using English words. And as a non-native speaker, I mean, it's not easy. That said, citing your publication, like your CV is going to be listing research papers in top science journals.
I mean, the real key here is getting the best LSAT score you can get. If you get a 170 something, that will prove to any school that you're applying to that you have the horsepower beyond just this scientific background.
Oh, that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a must, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your whole story doesn't make sense unless you can get over a 170. If you apply with a 165, they're going to go, yeah, okay, smart person, but limited in their English reading comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
And if you show up with a 175, they're going to go, okay, this person can actually cut it. And they're going to look at those publications and everything else, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, so the GPA is low because of grade deflation at these very rigorous technical programs. And they're going to really understand your story with a 175. But a 165, you've got a completely different story. What do you think, Ben, about health law and policy? Like, I'm not saying don't in fact pursue health law and policy, but you saying you're interested in health law and policy, I feel like there's a better pitch you could make.
Like with science?
Yeah, like what if you say, instead of saying I want to work on health law and policy, which anybody could work on health law and
How about
policy.
IP?
How about intellectual property?
Sure.
Or like you're the one, there's so many idiots like me when I was applying who thought, oh yeah, intellectual property, that sounds good.
That sounds
You know, it's like, oh, I
rigorous.
want to just make
Yeah.
money. I want to work in business. I'm gonna, yeah, I'll claim that I want to be an IP lawyer. Well, you have the technical chops that would actually position you well to be a patent attorney.
Mm-hmm.
You could even be a patent agent while you were in law school and make money while you were in law school as a patent agent. Like talking about the patent bar, I think is going to make like the Silicon Valley folks, you know, Stanford. I'm thinking about Stanford Law School. I'm thinking about Santa Clara, Berkeley, like that, the Silicon Valley area law schools, especially. You've got technical proficiency and you're now applying to law school with this idea that, like, yeah, I want to do IP related stuff in the science field. Sure, absolutely. Health IP. That to me makes more sense, or it's more like, okay, you're likely to be successful. Because when you just say health law and policy, now it's like there's so many people with no technical background who could still credibly pursue health law and policy.
It's very
That's
vague.
politics.
Yeah. You don't even
That's not
need a
science. That's
JD.
politics.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a more, you know, like I'm not saying lie. I'm just saying maybe de-emphasize your policy ambitions and instead make it look like you're, frankly, a capitalist.
So that's interesting because when you raised health law and policy, I thought your bigger concern would be that Anonymous doesn't know what they want to do. That sounds like the kind of thing that someone says when they have no clue why they're going to law school. Because really, you're going to go to law school to then become a policy advisor. You don't need to do that.
You're like, who's going to employ you for that? Like, what kind of a job do
You're
you get
wildly
in health law and
overqualified.
policy?
Yeah.
Right. If on the other hand, you're like, no, I want to go to work for Pfizer and protect their intellectual property for their vaccines,
Mm-hmm.
then now you've got like a story, I think, that makes
Really
it a lot
fits.
more likely that a JD would make sense. Yeah, good
Mhm.
point. Hope that's all helpful, Anonymous. I think you've got the potential to be a really strong applicant. I think maybe you need to be a little bit more clear about what you exactly want to do and get your 175 to really make the story make sense.
Yeah. Let us know how it goes. Email daily at lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.